Let's get right into it. Mike Seville, your real estate guy down here in Palm Beach County. Appreciate you all for checking in. Of course, on the other side of the camera, we got my brother from another mother. We have the incomparable Joel Simmons. What's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Glad to be here with you after many challenges and getting into the studio. We are here. So it is
Yep.
what it is. Rock and roll.
You don't seem excited about it. You
Oh
don't seem.
man, come on. How can I not be excited about it? I feel like it's gonna be something right now up in here. I don't even know if I want notes. Just
Oh,
want
we
to
just gonna
freestyle
go with the
everything.
flow out there. Well, there you go. We'll be present in this moment. Everybody, it is June 14th, 2024. We are 2 days out from Father's Day.
Happy
I hope
Father's Day to all of y'all. Yes, yes, yes.
absolutely happy Father's Day to you, brother.
Hey, happy Father's Day to you, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm starting to have this thing with these holidays, these different
Mm,
holidays. Every time I
tell
turn
me about it.
I thought you'd never ask.
Oh, come
I
on.
thought
I want to hear
I
this.
thought I thought you'd never ask. Every time you look up, there's another holiday. Now, fellas, I think they said Father's Day is like the I don't know, it's like the 30th most important holiday. Either way, it's nowhere close to any of Christmas, Mother's Day, some of these bigger holidays. So I don't want to dampen on any fellas parades, etc. However, overall, it just seems like there's always some kind of holiday going on, something that they're telling us that well, in fact, really, money is really not being expended on Father's Day. Enjoy your socks and your briefs and your ties and that sort of thing. That's normally what happens. I've got some pretty good Father's Day gifts, so let me not say that. However, getting back to this holiday thing, some of this stuff is just idol worship. I mean, I look at it and sometimes it gets so crazy. And people get so upset if you don't remember them on these days and or not celebrating these days, Valentine's Day, hint hint, that it's almost as if you committed some type of cardinal sin. You could have treated a person great the entire year, but if you're not, and it became a celebration versus an appreciation for these different days. I think on these different days, it's good to appreciate and bring to mind some of these things. But when it becomes like this wholehearted celebration, and it's not even about the person or even spending time or anything, I think that's substantial. This is Mike. This is Mike talk. This is just how I think. I think
I like
it
it, man.
I
Go
think
ahead.
yeah, I think it goes into idol worship. I mean, Mother's Day was like the culmination of it. Hey, listen, love on your mothers. You got your mother. She brought you she carried you. Yeah, so on and so forth. And appreciate. I think there's a huge difference between appreciation and celebration. I'm all for the appreciation. I'm all for it. I think everyone, it's a time to appreciate. But then when it goes to this celebration thing, when if you don't have 1,000 different flowers, if you're not being taken out and having to wait in line, if the roses are sold out in certain places, they double the prices on the roses in Costco's. So I just, I just, I just said I think we need to take a deeper look into it. Now, guys, remember I was born on December 24th, so that time was skipped each and every time. So we have a different relationship to the holidays than people that were born away from those huge holidays. I definitely I can understand that, and I've come to grips with it. However, man, it just goes a little bit far. Okay, that was my rant. Appreciate you.
Listen, come on, man. Come on, Mike. There's got
I
to be at
appreciate.
least one rant in every single one of these live streams or one of these recorded episodes. And for the most part, that's one from you, one from me. So expect another one to come.
I
All
got
right,
I got mine out early. I got mine. we could
The
get
average may be a little bit higher than that. I mean, who am I kidding?
yeah, it might be a little bit higher, but I made sure I got it out early. It's just it's probably been a month and a half on my mind in regards to these holidays, and Father's Day came around. And actually, I think it was a pretty quiet Father's Day. I went into a store today. I didn't see one thing that even pointed at one sign that said, "Hey, don't forget Father's Day." I have started to see. I did see Juneteenth that popped up.
Hmm.
That's another rant. I don't know if we're ready for it, but it'll get here when it gets here. I think that's next week as well, the 19th or
The
something. I think.
19th, the 19th, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
hold on, man. Don't move too fast. You moving too
I'm
fast. You going
I'm
from
letting it.
Father's Day to
Yeah,
Juneteenth.
I'm letting it. I'm talking about useless holidays, and Juneteenth is one of them. So, but I'm not gonna dive into it. I don't have my notes. The brother
Listen, hold
talks
on, but
about the
hold on.
notes. I don't
I want to
have my
touch on Father's
notes.
Day. I want to touch on Father's
Okay, go
Day.
ahead. Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
touch on Father's Day and Mother's Day for that matter. Uh, Juneteenth, that's a whole nother thing. But all right, scripture, right? The book of Exodus, chapter 20, where we find out about the 10 commandments from God: honor thy father and mother. We're reminded about it in the book of Ephesians. Paul talks to the people of Ephesus, 6th chapter, 2nd verse. Honor thy father and thy mother, right? So we've got this thing down. Oh, and then we got scripture where it tells us, give honor where honor is due. I believe that what we have done in American culture is we have taken something that should happen anyway, and we have branded it for something that makes money. How can I profit off of something that somebody should be doing anyway? I believe that we should be giving honor to our fathers every day. It shouldn't. Do we need a holiday? I mean, for that matter, if there is a holiday, then is it really to remind us that we're supposed to celebrate and celebrate? Hmm. That we're supposed to honor our fathers? I mean, if that's the case, then give us a paid holiday so that everybody can be sure
Mhm.
to have money and have the time to be able to enjoy their fathers. Because if all you're doing is you're just saying, hey, every second Sunday or every third Sunday, whenever that Sunday is, whatever month that is, say Happy Father's Day, what exactly is that? What exactly is that? The world isn't stopping for that.
Nope.
So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I feel it 100%. Now on the other end of the spectrum, it's like how many people are forgetting to even say, Dad, thank you? It's like, wow, we have to have a national reminder to remind somebody that it is a good thing to honor their what the scripture said.
What's the
Honor thy
scripture say?
father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee and thou mayest live long on the earth.
Hmm.
Great day in the morning. Like that's powerful all by itself. It's powerful. There is a blessing in honoring your father, honoring your mother. I think that we should actually be doing this daily.
Amen.
That's
Set
where
us
it's
so
at.
set up a reminder. Set up a reminder on your phone to honor thy father and honor thy mother. I'm all for that. These days
Yeah.
though, I'm telling you. And then let's not forget they might change that day to National Fathers Bashing Day the way people get down these days in regards to going on. Like It's a whole bunch of single mothers saying, "I'm a father to." All right, I'm done. I'm done. My rant is over, people. I
No,
appreciate y'all making.
that takes us back.
I
That takes us back, though. It takes us back to when we were talking about masculinity. It
oh, yeah.
takes us back to when we were discussing masculinity and we were talking about identity,
Hmm.
masculinity, because now we're living in an age where if a woman is masculine, she feels, brother, I think I mentioned this to you. I was speaking with a young lady who looked up and said, I'm more of a man than all of y'all.
Come on.
She
This
didn't
is
look at me, but
this can't be recent. This
she
can't be
said this in the
recently.
conversation.
Is this
This is
recently?
recent. This is
Oh
recent.
man.
And I looked at her. Nobody said anything. I'm not the only man at that table. Nobody said anything. I was not the only man at the table. This was the only female. I got much respect for this female. If you happen to be watching this, there's no shade being thrown because exactly what I'm about to say is exactly what I said. I said, minus the name. I said, so and so. No, you are not. You can't be. You can't be. You can't be. No, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I'm just like, I don't care what is going on in your life. There comes a point in time where we need to stand up for whom we are. Like a buddy of mine used to say, there was a time when men were men. That's what he would say to me. I'm like, what are you
Right.
talking about? And then he gave a date. He was like, 1954, men were men in that day. I said, yeah, in 1979, they were too.
It's changed. That's interesting. I'm so curious because then this gets back to, and I think a couple things, and just in regards to that example. No, I don't know the young lady. I don't never wasn't in the conversation, but it does pique my interest. Um, and it also further emphasizes the reason why we decided to do this series and why we decided to tackle a lot of these different issues and why we do it in the gathering. We didn't mention the gathering, which is the group that you have that we meet on WhatsApp and through Zoom once a week. We tackle these issues because you were able to say no, you're not, which probably was the better stance, just to cut that thing off from the beginning. Sometimes there's no need to go back and forth. But if there was time, so on and so forth, the question that we ultimately say is, well, what makes you feel that way? And then take a chance to take a step back to listen to exactly, because a lot of women feel that way. They feel that they are masculine, or at least they're in that way, and a lot of men are scared, or let me not say they're scared, but some men won't typically confront a woman on that aspect. It's a firm belief that I don't argue with, definitely don't argue with women. I don't argue with most people, but I definitely don't argue with women. My mother used to say, that's in Jamaican, that's gal pick me business. Stay out
Mm.
of it. So I tend to stay out of it. I try to get a clearer understanding of it as to why one would say that, just to hear the criteria of what makes something masculine versus what makes something feminine. Uh, and it goes beyond just, you know, certain people's mannerisms, right? Like
Mm.
we can identify a mannerism as being feminine or masculine, but there's some people who tend to have feminine mannerisms, or what you would see as being a feminine mannerism, but they're very masculine. They're very much in a masculine nature. They exude that, they express that, specifically in the way they talk, specifically on the, and this is basically what it comes down to, the values and ideologies that they go by. Now, if you have values and ideologies that are wavering, then that this is when the question starts happening in your mind. When a woman says that, the question could be, well, am I? Right? And I think going into the not even the conversation, but hearing those things as we go out in the world, to be able to, like, for you, it was just automatically, it was like, no, you are not. Like, it was just automatic because you're certain and stable within your identity. And so it's just like, no, you're not. Like, I don't care what it is. You can go out and you can work a 18-hour shift and do everything that they, quote unquote, a man is supposed to do. And I can be in an air conditioned building typing, whatever it is. But when I come up against you, I am masculine energy and you are feminine energy because I'm certain and stable. It has nothing to do with what I, technically do. It's the way that it's a way of being. And so once we get to a point of this way of being and expressing it, everything else doesn't matter. You can cry. We heard, oh, men don't cry. Yeah, I heard that growing up in ways. Men don't cry. But once you become certain and stable in your identity, you can cry. And you can still say, I'm still a man. Because this crying does not make me a woman. It's just a way that I expressed myself at the time for whatever reason that I felt compelled to do it. But that doesn't make you a man. And this wasn't even what we were going to talk about, but it definitely piqued my interest. You want to go? I had already typed up men's empowerment. That's kind of where
Let's
we're
stay
going.
there.
You want to stay
That's where
with
we
the?
are.
You want to
That's
stay
where we
with?
are. We in
Okay.
men's empowerment. Because I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Go
this
ahead.
subject, I didn't know it was going to end up being like this, but this subject speaks to men's empowerment.
Hmm.
Even what you just said. I mean, I can't cry. Like that was something that I grew up learning. You just said you grew up learning that when we were on the gathering the other day. There was
Talking about
another man,
yeah.
somebody else that said they grew up learning the same thing. And we're talking about people that are separated by space, time, all over the place
Hmm.
because the gathering is far flung. So it's just like we aren't even in the same culture, not even practicing the
Right.
same creed. When we were younger, we were coming from different countries, different islands, different places, different cultures, and everybody's saying the same thing. So this is the culture of man then, at least for a certain period of time over the course of so many decades. It was the culture of man that you didn't cry because how else could men all over get the exact same impression that if I cried, I was less of a man?
Right.
That's powerful. So it's like we have to empower ourselves. But I do want to speak this before I dive into what you're saying even further. And this is in no respect to any individual particularly, but just to the essence of somebody speaking something that just don't make no sense.
Mhm.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. This is not in response to what you all previously heard about the young lady that spoke to me. I want to make sure that's clear because I still deal with her and I still appreciate her and I'm grateful that she was able to speak that up because it told me a whole lot about that whole scenario and
Right.
everything that was going on. I'm like, go for it, speak up. But let me tell you this, the way of a fool is right in their own eyes. We need to be careful. But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. I think we need to be mindful about what we say, what we believe. Not just from that, like I said, not from that one perspective. Please, wherever you all are and
Um,
hearing
uh,
this, don't see it from that one perspective because I want you to see it from every single perspective.
that's wisdom.
The, yes, sir. The perspective of me speaking as well as the perspective of me hearing,
Hmm.
the perspective of me standing up for myself as well as the perspective of me not. Like, let's start looking at it from the perspective of I'm looking at me versus I'm looking at everybody else.
Right.
Let's start looking at things from the perspective of I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
Amen.
Because as long as I'm looking out of a window, I have no idea what I look like. I ain't got a clue who I am. And I think that's where empowerment begins. It begins on the inside. And that then spreads abroad. What you say, bro?
I say you're 1000% on there. I'm, and if a person feels a way about it, just like you mentioned, it says more about themselves than what it says about what the conversation that's actually being had. Like when you really take a look about it, when because I think most people, and definitely you, brother, you choose your words carefully so that we're not here to offend any part of people. However, unfortunately, it's going to be what it is, and so I would hope that a person would seek understanding with it, you know. So also a part of the men's empowerment. Here's the next thing: is that what I got from it is that, and I tell a lot of young ladies this all the time. I say, understand that I'm taking the time to tell you this. 99% of the time, here's my stats again. The majority of the time, these things are going not said. Someone hears someone say something, and I don't know, once again, I don't know the young lady, but let's just say some a young lady said something similar. I'm more masculine than you are. Most people aren't going to say anything because most people just go ahead and say, okay, I see where you're at, and remove yourself from the situation. So now a person speaking this possibly wonders why they're not around certain kind of people. Where are these people at? Where are these men at? Most men aren't having these conversations with you. Most men aren't don't have the conversations amongst themselves. I hear things that men say, what you said, brother. A fool is right in his own in his own eyes.
That's right.
That's what it said. And then I oft times I start to say, well, is the juice worth the squeeze when someone says something? And I'll immediately say, yeah, and 95% of the time is not, because it's like I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'll compel. So if a person is open to hearing these different things, I'll say, okay, yeah, I'll normally start off with a question. What's that about? Where's that coming from? How'd you get there? How are we here? But other than that, it's just like, huh, okay. And you just move on. You know who's funny though? Who doesn't? If you really want to get around some man, is my dad. My dad is funny. My dad is gonna tell you he can't even hold it in. It's just, he's gonna definitely attempt to make the correction, but that also allows him to be in conversations where I tell him like, man, you still talking about these conversations can go on for a while, and it becomes very circular in nature. However, I think most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to be like, huh, and you just move on from it. But that's that. Yeah, I'm done with that part, brother.
Yeah, man. It's good. I mean, because we have to get through some of these are the weeds, yo.
Yeah,
These are the weeds. These are the weeds that we as men are going through to struggle because this is real. This is real life. We're not talking about stuff that just pops off on some type of TV show. We're talking about
yeah,
things that are happening currently inside of real life. Men are dealing with this type of stuff.
yep,
And here's the thing is that with the watered down society beliefs, the beliefs of society being so watered down, that those that stand strong believing something, it's almost as if you're counted out. We become a minority because you stand for what you believe in, you now become a minority. And even if, and that's, I'm not saying that that is statistically accurate, but what I'm saying is that in many of the circles that I've frequented, that's the feeling,
mm,
that's the perception, and perception makes things real. to the individual. To the individual, it becomes very real. Becomes very real. I think about getting back to, let's say, back to empowerment. I think about when somebody used to tell me something that I believed and it was negative, I felt less than in some way, shape, or form. I had to rebuild myself. Here's the caveat: I didn't know that I felt less than. It wasn't until time later when I'm going through my own mind, my own life, and I'm realizing, God, that guy told me I'll never amount to be anything. I didn't even realize what that meant. Believing the narrative in the streets. Yeah, he's such and such and such. Enjoying the narrative. You gosh darn right. Enjoying the narrative because I want to be that individual. And then later on in life, I'm like, why? I don't need to be that in order to be a man. I'm going to redefine what a man is because a man is me. And if you ain't like me, I'm not saying you less of a man, but you sure ain't no more of a man than me. You ain't got me by nothing, sir. You ain't got nothing on me. You can be stronger than me. You ain't got nothing on me. You can be smarter than me. Nothing. You can be wiser than me. Nothing. You can be older. Nothing. No, why? Because I'm 100% man. Now, if you want to start adding percentages to that, I don't even know what that is. I throw my hands up in the air. Because if you're 101% man, I don't know what that is. Where'd you get the extra percent? Because you had to get it from something that wasn't a man. Because, I mean, once you're a whole man, you're a whole man. Gosh. If you're 2 times a man, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I just know that I'm no less. No less. But I became powerful in that thing on my own.
So how did that occur? I'm curious. When I guess like what was there a certain thing that happened or like what kind of transformation was that when you're just like I'm not taking what was given to me essentially if someone told you that you wouldn't amount to anything, but I am in this becoming of a man. I've become this man that I am, which is 100% of that. How did that? Was there a certain thing that happened or?
Man, I'm going to tell you something. Hardship helped me out a lot. Work. Work helped me out a lot. Responsibility. Responsibility for somebody other than me. And then just identifying myself as being a male. And before these days where I understand the difference between male and female, man and woman, I didn't always understand that. A man is a male. That's just the way it made sense to me. And man represents humankind. So I get it. And I still use the word. I'm not going to walk around saying, I'm a male. No, I'm a man. I accept that. I accept the psychological philosophy behind saying I am a man. And I'm proud of that because there's a lot in saying that, just like the word masculine versus feminine. I accept the masculinity of saying that. So it was it was hardship, man. It was growing up. It was growing up. It was growing up and just understanding, hey, listen, I was born a certain way. I came out the womb a certain way. I had certain equipment that just was not on the opposite sex. That equipment meant that I was a male, therefore I am a man. So I didn't have a desire to be something different than that. But I had no idea what it meant to be that, to embody that. I'm just a kid running around acting like I'm an adult. And then all of a sudden, I get responsibilities. Then all of a sudden, I get a child, and that child means more to me than all of the stuff that I was doing, because I realized if I don't take care of my child could grow up without a father. And if my child grows up without a father, my child could be angry or upset or without the education or lacking the love or the support. Anything could happen that I felt like happened to me. And I didn't want that to happen to my child. So I had to make a difference. I had to change. I had to do something drastic. I had to flip the coin and become a different individual because I didn't know how to be that person for my child as the person that I was, because all I saw was bars and a gravesite heading my way. I had to be different. I had to be different. I had to get some education. I had to find somebody who could help me. And I was willing to give up everything to figure it out. And that's what I gave up. I gave everything up to become somebody different so that I could live long enough to see my child grow up. And during the course of that, I was like, dog, this ain't no fun.
It's not
I
all
remember
fun.
telling the man, I said, God will make a man out of you.
I love it. I heard responsibility several times. We spoke about that on one of the first or second episodes. Responsibility and accountability. I think that's huge in becoming it. And I think that's oftentimes that's where my frustration lies with our certain counterparts. Not the ability not to take responsibility or accountability specifically for things that are within their circle and their realm of control, whether that be their wives, whether that be their children, you know, just things that are happening. And when I say responsibility and accountability, it's not attempting to save people from themselves, so to speak, or from their
Ooh.
journey, because just in the hardship part of it, I would also agree that that is a part of becoming a man. It's a part of our journey are these challenges that we face. And for me to take that, I got two boys. For me to take that from them would be doing them a disservice, because then what happens is you start to get that same baby boy effect. We saw the movie where the brother just don't want to leave his mother's household, so on and so forth, and start to walk his own path because it's just he's been impeded. He's been something has stunted his growth. Becoming a man, there's growth in that. So it starts off with that responsibility and that accountability. That's the foundation of it. And then as we grow as men, we start to add on other things. We start to see, okay, well, it's going to take the patience. One of the things that we spoke about before. It's going to take compassion. That's something that you got to work on, and you water that flower and start to gain a clearer understanding of it. And then also, I got on here. I got strength, and one of the reasons why I saw strength, and we spoke about this before, was that only the strong can be compassionate for the weak. So oftentimes we are just bulldozing through things, but we can't show compassion. Well, if you can't show compassion, it's really hard to show strength, because that's like the epitome of it. But yeah, absolutely, the hardships or the challenges that we have amongst our journey, you do not take that away. That just builds your character as a man, which is probably, that's essentially what we want. We want to have that strong character. one thing also that you mentioned in there was the people that you were around, and you had to go find a teacher, a mentor, or people who acted as such, who had similar values to this man that we're creating and that we're rebuilding. And I realized that that's the curation part. I often talk about curating my space. When I curate my ecology, I curate my people, places, and things. And as you start to become the man, you start to look back and say, well, this is what I was, this is what I valued before. These were some of the things as a child, as a boy, as an adult, probably an adult male, I value these things. As I become a man, I need to think, this is wisdom, that I need to start to curate the things around me. I need to be around other like-minded men. I need to be around people who support this character and this value, because we all want to have a sense of wanting to belong, and there is a space out there for you. And that kind of goes into the conversation we had, or excuse me, another part of this conversation is the investment in oneself, because what I found is that I am willing to pay for these things. I'm willing to utilize my resources in order to get with this thing. So what does that mean, Michael? I'm glad you asked. I'm willing to utilize my time as a resource. I'm willing to utilize my money as a resource. I'm willing to utilize my time, money, my
Oh,
energy. You know what I mean? Like all these things I'm willing to utilize to curate this this ecology, this environment of growth and success as far as being a man, because you don't just become a man and it just stops. You become a man to where it's like, I'm a man. So when someone else states something to the contrary, you can easily say, "Yeah, that's not the case. I'm not here to fight you about it. I'm not here to argue with you about it. This is really not a debate. If you would like to have a genuine conversation about it, I can explain these things to you. But other than that, it really just it's starting from here. And if we can't align at that point, then it makes no sense for us to have further conversation.
mm,
I am this. Let's move forward to see how this of whether or not this makes sense to you or not. And then, but this is what it is. So becoming a man is just, or excuse me, the foundational part, which we discussed, the responsibility, the the journey that we're going, that we come from a fraternity where we talk about it. What's the word? What do we say, brother? We chisel.
doing your.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Mm,
we're chiseling this perfect corner. It starts with a cornerstone. So we're making it. We're continuously just making it a better cornerstone, as perfect as we can get it. Um, and that also comes with what I think is healthy boundaries.
mm, yeah, yeah. Well, man, healthy boundaries. Leaving off on that, I guess there's a lot about that. I will say this, man. Curation is super huge. Curation is super, super. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Robin Good once said that the key to curation is decision making. I think that that's a big deal.
Right.
When we start talking about the foundation, we need to teach our children this, teach our sons this, how to make a good this. I just had a conversation with my son. I'm hitting them kind of hard, just trying to get them to understand something. Like make a choice, make a decision. What are you doing today? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Uh, okay, you need to read today. What are you reading? I don't know. How you gonna read? I don't know. What is that? Show it to me. Okay. He pulls out this James Allen book. As a man thinking, I'm gonna read that. Okay. All right. How many pages? 3 pages. Okay. What page you on? 27. Okay. I'm, listen, I'm not trying to make you do
Right.
something that's way beyond your scope and your practice. But what you tell me you're going to do it. Do that. And make the choice to do that. And so we're talking about the hardship or the challenge. It's like these challenges are different for every single soul, every
Yep.
individual. It's a challenge for my boy to go read 3 pages in the summertime. But the truth of the matter is it was for me too when I was his age. So I can't sit around and act like I wasn't that guy. I was not. You know what I was doing? Playing video games and outside playing basketball. That's what I was doing at 13. So when I look at him, I'm like, gosh, we got to stop that.
Right.
What else you gonna do? I'm gonna go to the gym. When? This is what's necessary, right? This is what we're talking about. When a man needs to go and to find a new circle of individuals to help learn the things that he has not learned, it's an indication that somewhere along the line, whatever lessons that speak to what they need to learn, what that young man needs to learn, was not impressed deep enough upon his heart, his mind, that it became impressionable. We need to be impressionable.
Mm.
Even when I spoke to that individual, I said, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. You can't be. No, you're not. The repetition, I speak in repetition sometimes, and it's purposeful. I don't just do that because I want to hear myself speak. I need to leave the impression that there is no other decision. There is no other thought. There is no other way. And if you got something different, then hey, leave your impression. Don't be afraid of my conversation. Leave your impression. But if you ain't got nothing else to say, my impression stands. Thank you. Go home with that. I speak that way on purpose because I understand the power of words, and the words need to be used appropriately. Because words, we used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never. That's a lie out of the
Big
pit of
time.
hell.
And then
Man,
they
words
cap.
of, yeah. What you say,
That's
cap?
cap. It's cap.
That's cap. That's double cap. Goodness, man. Listen, words have been destroying people for years, for hundreds of years. Back when I was growing up in high school, elementary school, we used to get in fights because somebody said yo mama. Yo mama.
I'm
That's
a.
it. That's it. That's it. Yo mama. You don't even say the next word because you're about to eat a knuckle sandwich. Don't say the next word.
I would be. I think in that what you said made so much sense. And now you're at the point, and you've done the work and the growth in order to be able to uh, choose your words wisely. And people need to understand that as well. I heard someone say recently, conversation runs the nation. Conversation will rule the nation, and that's still the case. And even in that retrospect to this your mama thing, I found the other day or recently, I came to the understanding that that still that still happens with grown ups. Like I definitely play this mental gymnastics with people to where it's like I said, oh, it's really a mama thing. You know what I mean? Like, or and it could be a father thing and so on and so forth. So I'm really careful with the way that I speak to people because even at 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, there's still something there. So words do hurt and it continuously hurt, especially if you don't know yourself, especially
Ooh.
if you don't take the time to know and understand yourself, because now we're thinking back on it as we become as we have become men and adults. We say, your mama, I and you're like, huh? And if you don't get out of here, but it's something. But if we haven't spent the time to work on that as well, it's moved to something else. So now it doesn't necessarily have to be me saying explicitly your mama, which is not the case. No, oft times people aren't just saying your mama, but they say something like, "Who raised you?" That's enough to
Yeah.
get. That's enough to get some grown folks in a bunch. Or where did you get that from? Well, my mama said this. Well, did you you know how much time have you spent understanding these different things? But because it still happens. So I thought that was interesting that you brought up your mama, because I was going to bring it up at one point in time in these conversations. But I'm glad you did instead of me. The decision making, I love that. I do the same thing with my son, because this is us allowing them to have their journey. um Mama don't allow you to have your journey. N- Naturally, women tend to be more nurturers, so they're really trying to make sure you don't get hurt. Don't want the world to hurt you. We want to keep you under wraps as much as possible. And we've already discussed this in regards to how we got here. Oftentimes, is that so many men have not. It's been so many fatherless homes that they're not getting this side of it, where it's like, uh, because we as men, we still want to protect, but then at some point we say, well, go let the boy bump his head. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right.
go let,
That's right.
oh yeah, yeah. That was is that what you think? Okay, we'll go on and do it then, and then we'll get it. And then when you do it, we kind of look at you. We give you, we count to 10, like, oh, let them deal with that. Where most mothers, it's just not to say it's not go arguing against mother. You're just doing what's naturally within you. You're like, oh my God, my baby. Don't let don't let the grandmothers get involved, because the grandmothers are even overly so. Oh no, you can't do that, and so on and so forth. But it's so important for men to be in their children's lives. We kind of going on this it's still Father's Day, so God, I hope you all forgive us. Is where we allow our kids to have this journey, and that starts to give them that balance of, oh, I've never done it before. This is that confidence, but I think I probably could do it. Let me go on. Let me go ahead and try it.
Mm.
Let me go ahead and do it. Dad don't got to tell me to do this. So, in your case with the book, you read them 3 pages a day, it might spark something. But he chose to do that. It wasn't like, oh, and I need to work on that. That's what I do with Elijah. Elijah will say, after he says no for like the third time, I just keep adding pages. Nah, 4 pages. He said, 5 pages till he got to sit down there and read it. But you allowed him to make his decision. So kudos to you on that, brother. That parenting. I think that's awesome. And that helps him go in that direction of becoming a man and growing. Love
Let
it.
me not lose this thought here, brother. That
Go
you
ahead.
just you brought some light to it while you were speaking. You went right back to empowerment, because we were talking about empowerment from a father's perspective to a young man. I mean, that's how we ended up getting in this. So we are absolutely on subject matter right now for this entire program that we have going on. This is right in line, because you can look at this from two different points of view. You can look at it from the point of view as the father's talking to the son, or you can look at it from the point of view of the father talking to yourself. I mean, whatever you want to see.
Hmm.
But you, the man, you can either look up the line or down the line, whatever you want. But wow, we are talking about, this is the beginning of empowerment. Man, you brought that thing up. Women are more nurturers. When you said that, I started thinking about my mother. I started thinking about my grandmother. I started thinking about all of these. I started thinking about my wife. My wife, she's just like, oh, he's got to, I got to make the food and stuff like that. I'm like, go downstairs, make the food. The ham is inside the fridge. The cheese is in there. In the pantry, there's bread. Put it together. I showed you how to do that. Did the same thing. I did, not just him. I did it with the girls. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just like these are so important, and you almost don't even realize it.
Don't even
But
realize that.
one day, this small little thing is going to make the difference between whether or not a man will be able to deal with the tide of life. This small thing, because he may not feel like he has enough power to say yes or to say no, right? He may not feel that. I was looking at this quote by Barack Obama. Empowerment isn't just the ability to say yes or no, it's the strength to say I can. When my little man does not feel like he can even, he's got to think whether or not he can even do it.
Right.
What is going on? I missed the boat. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Okay, now I got this spiritual thing. Hold on, son. Let me bring you out of the church real quick. Not that you can separate yourself from the church. Once in the church, you're always in the church. But let me take you out of the service of the church real quick. Let me bring you over here to the natural world, because I'm going to tell you something. I walk spiritual world in the natural world, but we ain't going to go into that. Let me bring you over here. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. You think that that's just, we just preach that thing. No, you're supposed to walk that thing. Apply it. Can is an operative word. It means that within me is the ability to. Operative word. My mother used to teach me this, the difference between can and may. Mom, can I have some French fries? I don't know. Can you?
Can you?
Oh man, she used to.
So that
Oh,
yes,
mom,
sir.
no disrespect, but I ain't like that. I didn't like that, mom. I was gonna say I hated that. I was gonna say it. I did actually, mom. No disrespect. So if you watch this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you know. But that thing used to burn me up. And then I had to go back and say, Mom, may I have some French fries? And then she would tell me no sometimes. Like, why do I gotta even say it the right way if you're gonna tell me no? But now I get it. I get it now. Can is the operative word. It's the difference of having the ability
It's
to
big.
and not to. May is asking the question. I'm asking for someone else to give me the power to do something that I can do, most likely, without them. I can turn the light on in the room. But if I ask, honey, may I turn that light on? May I turn that light on? I'm being I'm being generous, kind, compassionate. Maybe she's trying to sleep and I can't find my socks because I don't have the ability to see in the dark. So I can't find my socks. So I'm saying, may I? Because I know I got the power to turn that light switch on. And I might just go click, turn the light switch on, and then just wait for her to, hey, what you doing? Oh, I couldn't see my socks.
But only the strong can show compassion.
There you go. Back with strength.
That
And
is
that's the
strong.
whole thing. That's why this is empowering. You got to teach your son how to do that. You have to
Hmm.
teach that young man, because we talking about building a better man. He
Hmm.
needs to learn at a young age the difference between can and may. And then he needs to have the strength to be able to make the choice of which
Hmm.
one he wants to use. Because if your compassion shows up in such a way as you feel like you can't do it another way, that's not compassion, that's
Yeah.
weakness. You have to be strong to be able to say, hey baby, may I turn that light switch on? That's, you're
Hmm.
humbling yourself.
Yep.
You're
That's
being
where it starts.
compassionate, because I know I can turn that light switch on. What you gonna do to me?
There's a lot of this. Just it got me thinking. for this is what people have to understand. There's a lot of things that men could do that they don't do for the sake of compassion. And these things go missed because it didn't happen. You're right, because these things didn't happen. I didn't just flip the light switch on. Hey, sometimes I fumbled around in the dark
Yes.
because I didn't want, I didn't want to bother you by asking, and I just didn't want to flip the switch on. I just fumbled around in the dark. How many times are we fumbling around in the dark? And so for your son, who's right now, if you see Jonah, I thought he was one of the teachers at the school. The brother had to be like 6 foot 1,000 or something. Last time I saw him in the seventh grade, he was big. My son had to point him out. Well, Elijah was like, man, that's Jonah. I said, are you kidding me? But here is a guy that need that through the grace of God, and definitely you being in his life, you're there to teach him these things. And it goes back to that initial point that you made within this, is that these things that you're doing 9 times out of 10, because if you're a man, you're not even thinking about a lot of these things. That decision has already been made a long time ago, as far as I'm going to show grace. I'm going to, well, not grace. I'm going to show compassion. I'm going to,
Compassion.
yeah, I'm going to show love. I'm going to do this. It's not necessarily the narrative that's being pushed in the culture of this domination. Me, Mike, me take what I want. You know what I mean? Like, this stuff is not that's what, we see it on the movie screen, and oftentimes I think most of us, we just kind of smirk it off. However, there are some people who are living in fear that these things will happen to them, the opposite sex. So that's where I have to show off this, what I personally call this false bravado. I am the most masculine thing here. I am this
Ah,
boss. I am the boss of this. I am the, this is what I'm doing. It's Father's Day. I am a father also. Blah blah blah. Most oftentimes, and that's why we make jokes about the shirts and the socks, but most of us don't really think about it. We just glad that we're being appreciated for being what it is that we are. Half the things that we're being appreciated for, we don't even know. A young lady DM'd me the other day, and she said, which, and I appreciate it as well because I had no idea. She said, the way that I talk is because of, it's heavily
mm,
influenced by you and what you've done, or your instruction, you having conversation with me. I No idea, right? I was like, listen, I definitely appreciate it, but this is just me being this.
mm.
And later on, sometimes you go back and think like, yeah, I got. But oftentimes it's just we just being us, right? And we appreciate you all that for that. We don't have these conversations, and it's good for us to have these conversations because it is empowering. I think it is empowering to be when someone shows their appreciation for something positive it is that you've done, and you're not being pointed out just for the negative things that are going on. So, but it's just these little things that we're doing and we're teaching, and now I think we're even more cognizant of it. Like, we're really like, okay, well, we can do this a little bit better. And I think that's what it is about, as far as when we talk about rebuilding the better man, because now Jonah, Elijah, Paul, they're going to start from what we were calling foundation, and we grew. Now what we grew to is their foundation. Oh, because we added to it, and then they're going to add to it. And I think that's one of the things, and of being a man, is this resilience and this welcome, this this growth of it.
Mm. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
brother.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. For we are, for we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witness. So, I mean, I know we're coming to the close of this episode, hour been well spent, but I'd like to put this out there, a question to
Hmm.
all those that are watching this, whether you're watching it now or a month from now. What are you doing to empower your children, especially your sons?
Yeah.
Men, what are you doing to empower your sons so that they can grow up and be a strong man? And what did your father do or a
Mm.
man do in your life? Or maybe a woman, maybe it was a woman. I'm not going to
No,
say that
no,
it couldn't
can't
have
do it.
been.
Can do it.
I'm not gonna say
The brother
women.
asking the question. I can't do it. Go ahead, brother.
What did and say it too. If it was a woman, you better put it in there. don't don't put it in there. But what did a man do to set you up and to show you that the power was inside of you and that you needed to take that power of decision making seriously? That's what empowerment is, fellas. It's the power to make a decision. What did you do? What are you doing? And what did somebody do for you? And who was it that did it for you that made you say, all right, it's time for me to make a choice? That's what I got to leave, bro.
I love it. I'm done. I love you all. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, fellas.
Happy Father's Day. And, you know, be, oh, I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate all the men around. Uh,
Yeah.
makes the world an awesome place, a better, a better place. I want to say better. It makes it an awesome place to be in. So I appreciate you all. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy it. Take your time out. Peace.